Hey guys, welcome to Superlative Radio. Dylan Stone here with you. Hope you enjoy the following vlog. Hey guys, Dylan Stone here, Superlative Radio. And on our vlog today, or on my vlog today, I want to talk a little bit about, well, I'm going to be kind of light on what we're talking about. Because usually on our vlogs, at least with the Saw and I, some of the stuff we do, a lot of the stuff we do is our way of airing our beefs with you guys and talking about things that we don't feel are necessarily conducive to a good society, or things that are unjust or unfair, and things that just kind of have us, that upset us, and things that make us angry. We kind of use these things to kind of bring things out to light for you guys, because we kind of feel bad feeling like we're the only ones that see what we talk about. I mean, I know some of you guys do, but we kind of try to bring it to your light and maybe bring it more to the forefront of your purview, as it were. But today, I'm going to go on a little lighter topic. I want to talk about comedy. Now, comedy has changed a lot from the days of the early TVs and early films, way back, from the Charlie Chaplins and all the way through, that kind of thing. And even in vaudeville, years and years ago, there were comedians that did shows in between. A lot of times it'd be in between a stripper or in between, whatever, and they'd have a comedian come out and do a little shtick and do a thing, and then he'd be off and somebody else would come on, maybe a juggler or whatever. It was vaudeville and it was what it was. In some cases in vaudeville, even back then, a lot of these comedians did what they called blue material. Now, if you're not sure what blue material is, that's things that they talked about that were maybe sexually explicit, they were profane, or they were off color, or whatever the case may be. And the reason that they called it blue material was a comedian would come out and he'd do his thing. And he'd come off the stage and, the owner of the club or the owner of the venue where they played, or even the censors, if it was a movie thing or whatever the case may be, would edit their act. They couldn't do what they felt was right or what they wanted to do because there was somebody editing what they were doing. They'd edit and talk about it, and they'd go backstage and they'd give them an envelope with their edits. And the envelope was a blue envelope, telling them, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't. And thus it became blue material, because these were things you weren't allowed to do on the next set or the next act or whatever. Therefore, it was considered blue material. That's how it got that name. Now, when you look at comedy and the way that it's gone, I mean, like I said, there was always blue material around, but it never really came to the forefront of the way it did post Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce was the one who really made it that, because he was very profane in a lot of the things that he said, and he didn't hold anything back, and he was he was like you see today. People get up on stage and they use a lot of profanities and they say things very openly suggestive, and they talk about, I can't say it here, I can't give you any examples because, technically YouTube where we do this doesn't like us to do that, so I can't be openly honest here because I too am being censored by the powers that be. I don't agree with that, I'd like you to know, but that's the way that it works. There's always somebody down your neck going, nope, can't do it. Sorry. That's the way, unfortunately, the world does work. The way that comedy has become, as a society, we have become more open-minded because we do watch things like that now. We're not Victorian anymore, although a lot of the owners of the companies seem to be, because they have that narrow-minded comedy has progressed to the point, like I said, post Lenny Bruce, things started happening. You know, the Red Fox, if you're like, Red Fox used to make albums that were just blue material. And now, don't get me wrong, they were funny. You know, it brought a whole other aspect to what they were doing, you know? And, you know, from that came, you know, the whole, even George Carlin, if you watch any of him talking about his career, he reached a point in the late 60s where he felt he was being a phony because all he was doing was just doing straight, clean material all the time, where he wasn't getting the chance to express what he really wanted to say. Thus came the album, started with AM/FM in 71, where he doesn't necessarily swear a lot, but he just, you know, there's a few things where he uses like a little bit of profanity, but he's more suggestive than he'd ever have been in his career. Then in 72 came Class Clown, which was the one that had the 7 words you can't say on TV. And from that point, he just went. Whenever I think of George Carlin, I think of, from that point, from AM/FM up. I don't think of the like albums before that, like, you know, Takeoffs and Put-Ons was one of the ones from, I believe it was like early 1969. If you get the chance, it's on RCA Records. If you get the chance and see it around, listen to it. There's not a curse word on it. There's not a suggestive. It's not George Carlin per se. I mean, it is, but it's not the real George Carlin, I guess, if you want to call it that. Then came Richard Pryor, and he started with his album. In fact, I believe I saw a clip of him on, I think it was the Dinah Shore Show, and he brought a copy of his album. He could say what it was called because he is who he is, but I mean, you know, they didn't, and of course I can't because of my color situation, I guess, you know, the way the world works these days. Richard Pryor came out with all his albums and doing what he did and started again with a whole other brand of comedy. And it was great stuff. Let's face facts, you know. And from that point, you know, you got your Eddie Murphys and you got your, you know, all the way through. And comedy took a complete different shift. I think Lenny Bruce really, it was glad that he came and he did what he did because he opened doors for them to do things that should have been able to be done before. Comedy is not what it used to be. It's more open and honest in its delivery of what the world situations and the way things are. And I've always been of the opinion that I should be able to be completely open and honest with what I'm saying. Because there's nothing wrong with honesty, whether you're being profane, whether you're being sexually explicit, if you're making a point, don't just do it gratuitously. If you're making a point, you should be allowed to say it and do it. No matter what these other people who, you know, think that it's, you know, all some of these people today just drive me nuts. You know, they have way too much time on their hand to complain and to just dissect what you're saying and turn something around to the point of complete immaturity and stupidity. These people should not be allowed to procreate. They should not be allowed to do it. I'm sorry, because if this is what your outlook is, you're on the wrong planet. Go find another one to screw up. I'm tired of you screwing up mine. Ça suffit, tabarnak. Away don't. You're gone. That would be the way I'd deal with it. Go find another planet. I'm tired of you having on mine. This is the way my world works, and if you don't like it, but not to take anything away from the comedy prior to Lenny Bruce. There's some really great stuff, you know, whether you talk about, you know, Who's on First, or you talk about the Groucho Marx stuff, or you talk about, there's some great comedy that is clean. I'm not saying that just because it's clean, it's not funny. There's some great stuff. Some of my favorite jokes are clean jokes, especially puns. Puns in a lot of cases are you know, they're clean, but you can change things to make it look, and they're great. There's nothing wrong with clean comedy, but there's nothing wrong with off-color comedy either, no matter what people tell you. You just have to have the right frame of mind and understand where the humor is, if you're not looking for the humor and you're only hearing the swearing or you're hearing the sexual innuendo or you're hearing, I mean, people lost their minds at Andrew Dice Clay when he came out. People lost their minds. I was around when it came out. I remember it well. My cousin came back from California with a VHS tape and said to me, he says, "You got to hear this guy. You got to." And I sat down and watched The Dice Man Cometh. And I was like, this is funny stuff. And it was. A lot of people around me didn't find it funny. He's a little detrimental to women. He's detrimental towards gays. He's detrimental. He's of the Don Rickles. Dennis Miller said that Andrew Dice Clay is Fonzie with Tourette's syndrome, which in a sense I understand what it is, but he takes the Don Rickles where he insults people and he does, but it's funny stuff. People love Don Rickles. He was one of the most insulting people that walked the planet. And some people didn't like him, but he was funny. And so is Andrew Dice Clay. If you watch and listen to his stuff and you look for the comedy and not just this way, you can enjoy what he's putting across because it's an act. He is not like that in person. That's not the way he is. That is an act he developed. And it's funny. And if you don't get it, it's your loss. You're missing the point. Just like a lot of people don't understand Monty Python. Of course, that's British humor, but there's a lot of stuff in there that people just don't catch. Your loss, baby. Broaden your horizons. Open your mind. Stop being so... And you just might actually enjoy life a little more. So go out and listen to comedy that you don't normally listen to. Go onto YouTube, go onto wherever you go, or go onto Netflix and watch a comedian that you don't normally watch. Okay, I'm not going to say everybody's going to appeal to you. I've watched comedians where they got halfway through their act and I've gone, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't appeal to me. That's what's good about it, is that you have the opinion to say, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that made me laugh. Yeah, that didn't. But don't look at it close-minded. Be open-minded. And you might actually find stuff you actually will enjoy. Trust me on this. It'll work. Enjoy more comedy. It'll bring more laughter to your life, especially at a time where we need it, which right in the world 2020, 2021, we need a lot of laughs right now because things are just not where they should be. So go out, enjoy some comedy, have some fun, and have it on me. See you on the next one, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching Superlative Radio. Come back anytime, and when you do, please make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a comment. We really want to know what you think. We'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, because that's the way it's supposed to be.